Hey everybody, let me know if you can hear me. I know this is like, I don't even know how many tries I've put into getting this up and going. So if you're in here, if you could drop me a thumbs up, say hello. Want to make sure this is finally working. There was some sort of glitch in the app. Oh, I know Amber's Amusement and Janet. Thank you, Grant. I need to fix my laptop here so that the lighting is better. Screw it. We'll just leave it over here. So basically, I was having a whole bunch of trouble with the app on my phone. It was saying I couldn't start a live stream, and then I don't know. All of a sudden, it was telling me that I needed all sorts of software I didn't have to stream on my laptop, which I've done before. So I don't know what the issue was. So yes, hi Melinda, hi Grant, hi Dan, Organic Food Forest, Amber's Amusements, Melinda, Matt at Nightcrawler Composting, CRT, hi. Gosh, guys, thank you for your patience. I was over here on the verge of a breakdown. I was so stressed about it. So there's not going to be any description or anything uploaded yet. I don't even know if I even got my goofy thumbnail on there. But I just wanted to get going, and I can add a description later when we're done. So come on in, say hello, let me know what's going on. Please give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Is my audio okay? I have it on Talk Chat, not live chat. There we go. All right, Melinda says she can hear me. Amber's Amusement says she can hear me. Awesome. Very good. Thank you, guys. So anyway, I'm so excited. Like, it's already 7:40, and there's still a little bit of sunlight out. That's always really nice. Good. So what are you guys doing today? Anybody starting gardens? What's going on? I definitely want to spend some time talking about the different items that you guys voted on for me on the community post that I posted last night. Think we're going to talk a little bit about my dry mix, a little bit about what else? The different harvesting methods, the different systems that I use. Got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Grokmail, do you work night shift? I mean, I know you guys know I work night shift. Maybe that's it. My brain just isn't wanting to function quite yet. Building a big salad table to grow my greens, says Matt. That sounds fun. What is this going to look like? I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, Grok, I hear you. Night shift life is a totally different animal, that's for sure. Good to see you too, Linda. Welcome. If you guys haven't, if you wouldn't mind jumping over and giving this stream a like for me, I really appreciate it. Oh, cilantro. You're growing cilantro, CRT? Or you planted cilantro? What's going on? Didn't even have time to position this the way I like it. Hello, Finley River Kennels Jeff Lackey. Thank you very much for coming in here and dropping me the like. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, Grant, I haven't seen your Worm Wednesday yet, but he says he had a preview of his seeds that he started in his Worm Wednesday video. So definitely hop over and see Grant's channel. All of you guys, you know, check each other out, see what type of content other creators on here have, and support their channels. So Matt says he's doing an elevated garden about 3 inches deep specifically for growing lettuce. That sounds really smart. I like that idea. Yes, go Yvonne. Thank you. I did make it. I'm here. It was stressful, but I'm here. So we're here. We're live. I actually was looking up some facts about worms earlier today, and I thought while everybody jumped in and started to say hello to one another, that I would tell you some of these weird, crazy facts. So I don't know You're new here to vermicomposting. Well, welcome. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something tonight. I really hope so. And make sure to check out my channel. Check out Grant McIntosh. He's in here. Lilia Kogan, Tori Davis, Miles of Worms. There's Plant Obsessed, Zia Waste. There's so many different sites that, or channels rather, that are doing a lot of worm stuff. So, how many of you guys knew that worms can be completely paralyzed by light? It says about between 15 and 30 minutes after worms are exposed to light, they become completely paralyzed and unable to move. Worms don't have eyes, but they sense the light on their skin, and they can become paralyzed by it. That was something I was sort of new, but not really. So that was interesting for me. Let's see. Hello, Jeff. Grant is saying hello. I want to see more comparisons with the urban worm bag and the Vermi bag, says Jeremy. Yes, Casually Extreme Outdoors, I'm finally here. Thank you very much for hopping in. Give some thumbs up for me. Let's see here. As we know, my African night crawlers have dropped their tails a few times on me, and I was reading that the worms will never regenerate the top of their body, but they can regenerate the back portion if it's cut off behind the clitellum and it doesn't injure their hearts. Worms have 5 hearts, so they can regrow portions of their body. Let's see. More worm comparisons. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing that little comparison yesterday on the Vermi bag and the urban worm bag. I'll definitely try to do more of that, Jeremy. Derek Frost says, I have a question about coffee grounds. Does it overheat an indoor bin? No, as long as they're used coffee grounds, it shouldn't be a problem, Derek. It's more if you would put fresh grounds that hadn't gone through the coffee maker that would be a problem. In large quantities, it still could heat up a little bit, but not enough to, I think, really cause any sort of problem. I have never had any issue, and I've put large amounts of coffee in many of my bins because, as you can see, I take my coffee pretty seriously. I hope that answers your question. Grant says you definitely need a buffer. That's an excellent point, Derek. Yeah, the buffer, because coffee grounds, even used coffee grounds, can be a little bit acidic. Definitely make sure you're adding oyster shell or eggshell or garden lime, something like that. That acts as a little bit of a buffer to kind of keep a balanced pH for you, and it also provides the grit that the worms need for their gizzard. So many people ask me all the time about the dry mix that I use, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. It was totally something made up on the fly, just some random things that I threw together based on research I had done on various products and things that people add to their soil, to their gardens, and to their worm bins. So the 4 ingredients that I use in my dry mix are neem cake, diatomaceous earth, kelp meal, and oyster shell, but eggshell or garden lime, anything like that would work similarly. So thought I'd tell you a little bit about each of these and why I've chosen to use them. So I'm trying to hold my paper in front of me so I'm not looking over to the side. But neem cake is like the most incredible thing I ever discovered. I was researching it when I was having some issues with beetles in my worm bin. And neem comes from an evergreen tree that's, I think, native to, I wrote it down, India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Iran. But they are actually starting to grow some in Florida as well. There's a lot of antiviral properties. You can actually consume neem leaves, but the kernels, or the seeds, are what's used to make neem oil or neem cake, which a lot of us use in our worm bins. It's incredibly healthy as far as nutrient value, but even more so, it's really good at inhibiting the reproduction of pests. So it says here there's all sorts of fancy names for different chemical compounds that are found in neem cake, but essentially it disrupts growth and reproduction, and it's actually been the most potent deterrent ever studied on pest control in gardens. It says it interrupts metamorphosis and the ability to and their ability to eat. It can actually paralyze their swallowing mechanism. So it's pretty cool, like that it has nutrient benefits, that it's healthy for the garden, that it can help deter pests, but doesn't affect our worms. It doesn't really affect a lot of the helpful bugs. It's more some of the, like the aphids and things like that attack our gardens. I've found it useful for my mites and as also my beetles. Melinda says neem is the best, and I'm trying to find a tree to grow in my yard. Yeah, they need like the subtropical, from what I understand, but that's absolutely excellent. Linda Bush says your dry mix recipe works brilliantly for me in my bin. Well, gosh, that's great to hear. Yeah, I pretty much, people also ask me about ratios. I literally just eyeball it, and I do a scoop of this, a scoop of this, until I fill my little container that I keep it in. But honestly, you're not going to be harmful using more of one than another. Just make sure you have plenty of the oyster shell for the grit. Tiffany, hello. How are you? Welcome. Guys, if you have not seen Tiffany's channel, hop over there, check it out. She's got some amazing recycling as well as just zero waste type living and worm videos. Can you use neem powder from the Asian market, says Benita Booker. Welcome. If you guys haven't clicked that like button, please do that for me. Hey, Casually Extreme Outdoors. I'm not familiar with the neem powder that you would buy at the markets. I buy mine in bulk on Amazon, but you could certainly try it in a small, like a small amount in your system and see if it works. Go from there. Hello, Passion for Hunting and Fishing. Gosh, thank you guys all for hopping in, clicking that like button for me. I really appreciate it. The next item that I use in my dry mix is kelp meal. Kelp meal is really just for the trace minerals, but it's high in potassium, and it can help. Well, we know that kelp grows exponentially fast in the oceans, and it can actually help the water uptake in your plants. And it says the cell structure works as a filter, so it can actually filter out pathogens as well. Passion for Hunting and Fishing is saying hello to everyone. How are you tonight? It says kelp meal has 70 vitamins and minerals in trace amounts, so definitely not a bad thing. How many of you guys use diatomaceous earth? Because I found out some really cool stuff doing some extra research on it today. Well, I'm happy that you were able to hop in and say hello. Thank you very much. Tiffany says she uses diatomaceous earth. Grant says he does as well. Benita Booker says she does for her cats and dogs. Apparently it's really good for like pest, what do you call it, fleas and things like that on your animals. People use it on their horses and stuff too, I hear. But basically there are these little like miniature crustaceans that live in the ocean called diatoms, and that's where the diatomaceous earth is derived from. It's like the silica when they grind it up, and it's that really fine powder. But because it's silica from those shells, it actually has sharp little edges. To us, it feels like a super fine powder, but it can actually cause little micro cuts in some of the bugs in the worm bin or anywhere in your house, and it dries out their exoskeleton and they die. Flea prevention and health. Yeah, it's really good for health. People use it. I think, what was it, Lilia said in my last stream that she takes a spoonful of it in water every morning, and it's good for like your hair, skin, and nails. I guess similar to, I'm sorry, my hair is messed up. Everything's messed up. But similar to like collagen supplements and things like that. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see. I didn't know that diatomaceous earth was used in like water filters, similar like the Brita filters, things like that, that it has some benefits as far as filtration as well. In the home, diatomaceous earth can work for bed bugs, roaches, crickets, fleas, ticks, spiders. So just about anything that you could have a problem with, it can most likely be beneficial. Of course, the issue with diatomaceous earth is that it needs to be dry to be most effective. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world if it gets wet. It's just going to be more of a trace mineral aspect if you're not able to keep it dry. Apparently, there's some compounds that you can use it wet, but I'd have to research more about that. Janet McIntosh is in here as well. I like the fact that all of these are not poisonous. Like, they're beneficial, but they're not going to hurt our worms, and they're not poisonous to put in our garden. Benita Booker says it's hell to clean up, but it works well. Yeah, it's such a fine white powder. It can be miserable to clean up. I completely agree, Benita. I've had it just like sprinkle on my floor, and like you have to wipe it up with something wet because it just ends up looking like your floor has a white little sheen to it. And yes, it's dangerous to breathe in as well. That's important. I actually was reading that for some reason ingesting diatomaceous earth for the health benefits is good, but breathing it in like consistently very often actually has signs of increased cancer. So don't breathe it in. That's definitely key there. It's not dangerous per se, but breathing it in causes so much, I guess, lung irritation that it can be dangerous. Wearing a mask is a great idea. Yes, Amber. Passion for Hunting and Fishing says his wife and baby are in Florida on vacation. So I guess that sort of means you have a vacation too. Melinda says her chickens love diatomaceous earth. How do you use the diatomaceous earth with the chickens, Melinda? Let's see here. So the last thing I use is oyster shell or eggshell in my mix, and that is for a grit source for the worms as well as calcium. Our plants love calcium, so it's always going to be a good thing to have extra calcium in the garden. Our tomatoes really like it. It's good for our worms because it helps with cocoon production, at least in research. We're kind of doing our own little test on that. But it's healthy. Melinda says her chickens roll in the diatomaceous earth. Huh, I wonder why they like it so much. But it was just interesting to me when I was researching all of this that the what do you call it? The neem cake, when it's uptaked by your plants, that they put a plant that had a whole bunch of neem applied to the base of it. And they put a bunch of aphids in a room with this plant, and they would land on it, but they would refuse to eat it. So I'm really excited to put a little bit more of it in my garden this year and to continue to use it in my worm bins because I think it will be ultra beneficial. Tiffany says, I got a scope of soil while driving through a forest. I'm going to add some to my dry mix for the fungus. That's a really cool idea too. I mean, there's so many different benefits to these different items. Casually Extreme Outdoor says, I thought she was saying her chickens loved Delaware. I don't know. I don't know if chickens would like Delaware. I honestly don't go to Delaware very often. It's very close to me, but I drive through a lot to go to Pennsylvania. And the area I drive through is nothing but like industrial areas that smell to high heaven. So not exactly my favorite place in the world. Good night, Passion for Hunting and Fishing. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Oh, Casually Extreme Outdoors said because we were using the DE abbreviation, and that's Delaware. Gotcha. Hello, Nicholas. Thank you for coming over, hopping in, and saying hello. I appreciate all of you guys very much. So, any questions for me? Just say hello to everyone. I'm still trying to get myself pulled together. Been on here 20 minutes and I still feel out of sorts from not getting up and running the way I would have liked to. Oh, well, Nick, I appreciate you hopping in here, even though it was only for 3 minutes on your break. Give me a thumbs up, please. I would appreciate that. If you guys want, you can share the stream out. Do whatever you like. I always appreciate all the support and the help that I get from you guys. There are 17 thumbs up, but 18 of you in here. Please hit the thumbs up. I know you do, Nick. I just like to remind everyone to hit that thumbs up. I get disappointed sometimes if I have more viewers than I get thumbs up. I'm like, how hard is it to hit that thumbs up? It's super silly of me, but it does for some reason irritate me a little bit. I always try to thumbs up any video I watch, even if it's just like something that follows a video I watched before on something completely unrelated. It's just a nice thing to do to support people, unless it's something crazy where I really don't agree with it. I'm gonna give you a thumbs up. Okay, Benita, is there a way to grind the oyster shells at home? I'm not sure. I would feel like there would have to be, but you'd have to have something pretty industrial to break that down, or maybe smash it up some first and then use some sort of grinder. I don't know. I buy mine, so I'm not sure. That's why eggshell's a good alternative. Is it Go Ivan? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He says, it's heading out. Gotta start my day here. It's 8 a.m. in Beijing. Gosh, I appreciate it so much for you hopping in here. That's awesome. All the way from Beijing. Thank you. Tiffany says, I always do the same. Get those thumbs up with the rankings. Exactly. It helps people, especially a lot of our small channels. You know, it's harder for us to be found if our channels don't have a lot of interaction, like comments and thumbs up and all that type of thing. So it's not that hard to do. Grant says, I bought a $9 coffee grinder for my oyster shells. Oh, it handles oyster shells? Because I use a spice grinder for my eggshells. Like, I completely have it devoted to my eggshells. Gosh darn it. I thought I had these flies under control, and one just flew up onto my computer screen. I'm going to see if I can kill him. I got him. Okay. Anyway, moving on. The outdoor bin. Somebody just asked me about the outdoor bin. Oh, and Nick says he's 30 away from 1K. Gosh, guys, if you haven't seen Nicholas Poirier Outdoors, hop over there, check him out. He's got some pretty awesome live streams and videos. Always worth the watch. Let me see. I feel like I missed a question. How's the outdoor bin going? Somebody says. Tiffany says, save the flies. No, these flies have got to go. I've almost completely eradicated them. I had quite the outbreak last week after opening my reproduction games bins. I mean, like, a lot of them. So it was quite a pain in the butt. So since I finally feel like I've gotten most of them, I can't let any of them that I find live, because then they'll breed and I'll have more. But the outdoor bin, I've not been out there in a couple of days. We had just a small little cold snap and then some rain, so I wasn't out there. I'm hoping tomorrow I can get out and film an update. Since it's warming up, I think we can probably safely add some food in there, and that will be exciting. So, absolutely. Grant, I hate that you do that shit. Ooh, sorry, guys, that you do that stuff to me. There's a beetle crawling on the wall behind you. If there's a beetle behind me, in a second, you're going to hear screaming and me jumping and running all the way. Yeah, April Fool's is over, Grant. That's not cool. Jeremy, Grant, does it grind up well? He's asking about the oyster shells. Grant, does the coffee grinder work well for the oyster shells, grinding it up fine enough for you? Yeah, Casually Extreme Outdoors, bad words. I try really hard. Little known fact, if you haven't seen me on other streams, for the most part, I avoid altogether cussing on my channel. But I actually have a horrific mouth. So I try really hard, but sometimes it slips up. At least it was just the S word, not the F word. How do you feel about garden moss in the worm bins? I feel like it really improves the water holding capacity of the castings. Benita, that's interesting. The castings are so good at like maintaining and holding moisture on their own. I don't think I would add it myself, but if you find it beneficial, I don't think it would be dangerous at all. It's just something else for the worms to eat and to enhance the castings, because garden moss is going to have its own nutrient value as well. Any of the nutrients that we can add to our worm bins that they're going to process and create and make more available to the plants, I'm all about it. Yeah, Janet, hit him for me, please. Maybe too many drinks. I think you guys are at the Mexican restaurant. It's a Wednesday, right? GMG, hi, love your channel and content. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, I hope you are, and start giving me some comments on my videos. I always love to hear from you guys. I get emails from you guys every week. I love it. So email me, comment on my videos. I've fallen a little bit behind on responding to comments, but that is not my norm. I really do try to respond to comments within 24 hours. I like to keep the engagement going. Tiffany says, Grant, did you get a new shredder yet? Tiffany's waiting on you, Grant, before she goes out and buys herself a new shredder. Casually Extreme says, you can slip a few bad words. I guess you're saying bad words a few times and still be PG-13. Yeah, I feel like nowadays you can get away with saying that S word I said and damn, and that can still be in like a PG movie. I feel like it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. I don't know how much I agree with that, but I don't know. I can have a bad mouth, but I know when I can get away with it and when I should be more appropriate around children, or if I want to have a channel like I have, I certainly don't want to have a bad mouth. Grant says he did get a new shredder, Tiffany. He got an Amazon Basics 24 sheet. It doesn't shred it as small as I was expecting, but it does good for the price. So does it handle like a full sheet of cardboard without like making that noise like you think it's going to burn up, Grant? Because I'm thinking mine is on its last leg. It's overheating really, really quickly. Patty says, hi all. The unexpected did occur and we are sliding home from the ER. It's true. Patty, what happened? I'll be praying for you and your family. I hope everyone is okay. Grant says it does. I'll have to check the price on that because I definitely need to get a new shredder. So I'm happy to hear about that, Grant. Thank you. Let's see. What are your guys' plans? How are you going to use your castings in your garden this year? I wanted to hear what you guys thought first, and then I was going to tell you what some of my ideas were. Oh, Tiffany says it's already in her cart. $150. That's a good deal for a shredder with that type of capacity, as long as it holds up. And Grant and Tiffany, I'll tell you both, I did find and I've used in the shredder that I have now, they're like metal sheets of paper that you can buy on Amazon, and you run them through your shredder and they sharpen the blades to extend its life. They're definitely worth, I think it's like $10 for like 5 or 6 sheets of it, if I remember correctly. Definitely worth it. Okay, Melinda, I'm like out of breath. I'm talking so fast. Sorry, guys. Melinda says, I planted last weekend tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, watermelon, cantaloupes, lettuce, radishes, parsnips, onions, and herbs. My God, Melinda, your garden must be huge. I'm jealous. I'm still not so hot with my gardening skills. I know you guys have told me if animals are getting in my garden and eating it, it must be okay. But I don't know. I just feel like my plants kind of get stunted growth, and I've only really been like vegetable gardening for about 4 years, and I'm just not ultra successful with it. So I just keep trying, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm definitely going to bring you guys along, even if I embarrass myself, even if it's not what I think would be ideal. I'm going to do my best. I really am. I'm going to use castings in my garden. E-Waste Mike, hello. How are you? Thank you for hopping in here. So I'm going to use castings in my garden. I'm going to use some aerated tea on my lawn. I'm going to use some extract, I think. on some of my plants if they struggle throughout the summer. And I'm going to bury a 5-gallon worm bucket in my garden to feed it and let the worms continue to give nutrients to my plants all summer long. Any idea what the tiny reddish bugs all over the food in my worm bin are, says GMG. If they're slow moving, they're most likely mites. So I would say with mites, a lot of times it's a sign of a slightly acidic system. So add a little bit of extra buffer. You could skip a week of feeding. Sometimes overfeeding can be an issue with that, and pile on lots of dry bedding at the top. If you want, you can even add a bunch of dry bedding and sprinkle diatomaceous earth in there, and that might help reduce their numbers. But neem cake has pretty much eradicated most of my mites. So I would also encourage the use of the neem cake. Yeah, mites, GMG, they're called spider mites. You can, like, there's hypospadias mites. There's different types of mites. They are not mites that want to live outside of your worm bin, but they're very, very common in worm bins. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but there's definitely things you can put in place to decrease their numbers. Colorado Fisher, hello, welcome. Bench the Banana, hello. Melinda has a ton of raised gardens, she says. I'm trying to catch up to you guys. You guys are talking fast. Grant is saying hi to AJ. Hello. I'm doing great, Bench the Banana. Thank you so much. Tiffany, I have 3 tomato plants, cilantro, parsley, sage, and rosemary, as well as the experimental plants I have going and the rose bushes outside. I'm most excited to plant my blue pumpkin. There's a blue pumpkin? Like, was that some sort of hybrid that they were able to develop? Because I totally want a blue pumpkin. If it works for you this year, I want you to save me some seeds. Bench the Banana, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you do come back. Hang around, learn something new. I'm experimenting with growing squash in partial light, says CRT. How's that going? I'd be interested to know that, because we have a lot of trees. So even like the sunny part of our yard, still like half of my garden is more shaded than the other half. And I'm sure that that's affected some of my growth as well. Derek, oh my gosh, it's 2 a.m. Go to bed. I really appreciate you hopping by. Guys, Derek Frost is from France. So thank you so much for coming in. Get a good night's sleep. You can come and watch some more later if you would like. Take note, you were 30 minutes in when you logged out. Omar, hello, how are you? Welcome. Melinda says outside in the garden. Diatomaceous earth. Oh my gosh, it's Paulie. Guys, if you are not familiar with Paulie Picarillo, he's in here now. Check him out. He has a book. It's one of my favorite worm books, The Worm Farming Revolution. He's doing some amazing things. He was one of my idols when I got started. Polly, what's your take on diatomaceous earth? Does it work at all if it's wet? I was talking about that before, so I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Tiffany says she got her blue pumpkin seeds from Australia. Interesting. Well, I'll have to see if that works for you. I totally would love to try that. That would be the coolest looking thing ever. I know, Casually Extreme. I was saying the same thing. Blue pumpkin. It's like awesome stuff right there. CRT, we just transplanted. We will see. Oh, about growing your squash in partial light. Colorado Fisher is saying hello to Grant. Linda, winter is coming soon here. What is the best way to store castings in bags or bins? If you've seen some of my videos, I store my castings in giant, what are they? I'm looking over, and I have them in the corner of my living room right now. 50-gallon large totes, but you could store them in bags as long as there's some sort of aeration. Make sure that they stay slightly moist, but they'll be just fine over the winter, not an issue. I'm assuming you must be in Australia, somewhere over that way. Linda, no, that's Linda. Omar, how do you get mites? Is it in the vegetables and fruits? I think a lot of the pests that we get in our worm bins are from like the skins of our fruits. That's why I like to freeze my scraps first to minimize it, but I don't think you're ever going to get rid of it. And also I've theorized on my own that perhaps some bugs come from like the shredded newspaper and cardboard. You don't know where this cardboard and all has come from, how long it's been sitting in a warehouse. So I just don't worry about it too much. I spent way too much time worrying about all of those things. Just not worth it. Well, Polly, I can't help it. I'm like starstruck you're even in my stream. I want you to let me know what you think about wet diatomaceous earth, if it's even helpful, because I know you use it a lot. Casually Extreme just Googled blue pumpkins, and they really are blue, he says. That's so cool. Mickey, hello. Welcome. How are you? Mickey XOXO, if you guys haven't ever seen her channel, hop over there. She has awesome live streams, like at least 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Awesome variety channel. She's hysterical, ultra positive, fun to watch. Keep giving me those thumbs up if you wouldn't mind, guys. I really appreciate it. Lilia, you are here. How are you? I was talking about you a little while ago and about how you use diatomaceous earth in water every morning for your hair, skin, and nails. We were talking about the benefits of diatomaceous earth. Mickey saying hello to everyone. Lilia saying hello to everyone. Lilia, I'm really excited to see how your Hungry Bin does, set up by the manufacturer's instructions instead of the way you've been running yours, which seems to be quite effective. That should be exciting for sure. Lilia, I was also talking about doing a buried, what do you call it? Like the worm bucket, like the 5-gallon buckets. How many do you think I should put in my garden? I mean, like, should I just put one in the middle? Do you think it'd be fun to have a few, like 3 across the middle? I'm trying to think about that, and I know you use them. Plant Obsessed is saying hi to all the worm nerds. Melinda is saying hi to Lilia. Mickey, it is great to see you too. So many people are hopping in here. I really appreciate it, and if I miss you, I totally apologize. I'm trying to keep up and still talk a little bit about some things that are interesting to all of us and that you guys have asked me about. I love to have a little bit of Q&A and hellos and greetings, but I also like to provide a little bit of fun educational stuff along the way too. Tiffany is saying that she just came, she's cooking. Well, that's okay, Tiffany. We appreciate you being in the background. I appreciate the support very much. Lilia says, how big is your garden bed? My beds are 4x9 with a bucket in each. Mine is 6 by, I'm thinking, 6 by at least 20, 24, I think. At least. It's huge. So yeah, maybe I should do a few. Not sure. We'll play around with that. A few people asked me to talk about the different systems, kind of my opinions on all of the different systems. So this is just going to be kind of a brief overview on my opinions, which ones I like, which ones I use. So you guys can feel free to chime in. I'd love to hear your opinions on these different systems too. But I'm going to start with the commercial systems, and then we'll talk about the DIY type stuff. So I have the Worm Factory 360. Most of us all know that the Worm Factory 360 is kind of the bane of my existence. It was my first system ever, so I kind of have a spot in my heart for it, but it just doesn't work the way it's advertised. So it's a vertical, vertical migration method with different trays that stack one upon the other in hopes that when you finish feeding one, you add a new one and start feeding, and the worms will move up. And it just doesn't work the way that I would hope, at least. And it gets rather wet. So the castings at the bottom are not as flaky and friable as I personally like my castings to be, although muddy castings are still okay as long as they're not water saturated and anaerobic. Paulie's telling me about using diatomaceous earth. I was asking him about that. He says, for killing any insects, it's ineffective when wet, but great for nutrition and grit for their gizzards. I was always wondering if diatomaceous earth was also another form of grit. That's excellent. That's good. He says, sprinkle diatomaceous earth on top of bedding or on top of the moisture blanket, and it will stay dry enough to kill the insects. That's excellent to know. Thank you, Paulie, because I've seen some of your videos using diatomaceous earth, and I read about it in your book, but there's still a lot of conflicting information online, so I wanted to get it from the expert. Plant Obsessed. I make pellet beds, so 5 foot pallet bed, sorry, so 5 foot square. I used 1 5-gallon bucket of castings when planting. I don't know what type of bugs are we talking about, Plant Obsessed. Was that from Grant's video today? Because I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But what do you guys think of the Worm Factory 360? Because I don't know, for me it's just not my favorite for sure. And for the price tag, I would have hoped it would have worked more as advertised. I still have it running. I still give you guys updates on it, but definitely not my favorite system. It's probably at the very bottom of my list of systems. I'm gonna drink some coffee while you guys chat for a minute, and I want to hear what you think. E-Waste Mike is still here. Thank you. Plant Obsessed said her last video I found huge cocoons. E-Waste and Mickey, they always seem to find each other. Oh, in her video, I don't know what they are. Plant Obsessed, I'm gonna have to watch that as soon as I get off of here. I would love to see what we're talking about. Tiffany says the Worm Factory was her first system as well. After a year, I donated it and went to a cheap Rubbermaid bin. It was just too much work for me to keep the moisture level correct. And that's completely my opinion on it as well. E-Waste Mike, love is a terrible thing. E-Waste Mike and Mickey have a funny little relationship, and I absolutely love it. CRT basically only works if you use it differently from the manual. Are we talking about the Worm Factory? Because I know I don't run mine the way that it's recommended anymore. I've discovered now that my bottom tray, I move up to the top when I'm ready to harvest it to let the worms go down to the food. It's just silly. Like you said, it's just way too much work. It's like it's too dry one week, it's too wet another week, and I don't know. It's more trouble than what it's worth, in my opinion. Yeah, Grant never seems to be able to find any cocoons in his ANC bins. I can find them. I don't know what Grant's problem is because he has tons and tons of babies in his bin. They must just be hiding. Sometimes, Grant, they fall all the way to the bottom. I wonder if that's your issue because you're running them in a CFT. They just kind of fall between the castings. Yep, the Worm Factory. I'd say you feel the same as I do about the Hungry Bin. Works, but not as advertised. That's the problem. Some of these commercial systems are very expensive. So when you're spending $100+ on a system, you expect it to work the way it's advertised because that's a lot of money to put out. So I think that's kind of my issue. Yeah, E-Waste Mike, I didn't mean it like that. Now you're making me sound like I'm a mean person. Cruiser Mac. Give me that thumbs up, guys, if you don't mind. So the next system that I wanted to talk about, they're all playing with one another. I'm trying to keep up. So next one I have is the Urban Worm Bag. So the Urban Worm Bag was my second commercial system. I actually got it on pre-order before it even came out to the public. So I was one of the first people to get it up and running. So that was pretty cool to kind of follow along. And I became friends with Steve, the developer, really early on. And that's probably one of my favorites. I think, it might be my favorite, to be honest. I love the Vermi Bag too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But the Urban Worm Bag, the first version that came out, trying to think, was it the beginning of last year? I think it was the beginning of last year. It was awesome. Like this great continuous flow through system. I could feed so much and it could handle a lot of moisture. It retained the moisture really well. I could open the zipper to allow a little airflow if it got a little bit too wet. For me, it worked fantastically. E-Waste Mike, you're far from a mean person, he says. Some people might beg to differ, but I try very hard to be nice. Stingray Steve, We have a lot of urban worm bags. He's making jokes over there. I got you, Stingray Steve. Archer Marcius, all systems have their pros and cons. I haven't seen a perfect system. I completely agree. And that was where the problem with the urban worm bag came in for me. The harvest panel on the first version, which is no longer available because they upgraded, the zipper wasn't protected by anything. So the castings and like hard water built up in the zipper. So when you unzippered it, it would get stuck. And that was kind of my hang up about it, was that it was constantly getting stuck. I mean, with a toothbrush and a little bit of water, you could loosen it up, but we want the best ease of use so we can harvest quickly. But what I did like is the worms migrated just the way I expected them to. My harvests are nearly worm free. So the castings come out and they're able to be sifted or just directly put in the garden. They're not muddy. So for me, it's been excellent. And the new version, I just put a video out yesterday setting up another one of the new version, has an inner liner, and I'm actually posting a video tonight setting that second one up. And that inner liner with a drawstring completely protects your zipper from getting caked up with worms and compost and water, and it's been absolutely excellent for me. So so far so good there. How many of you guys have urban worm bags? Tiffany says she loves her urban worm bags. They're perfect for the dry New Mexico. Yeah, I'm sure the air is very dry out there. It's arid. They definitely save me water, and that's what I like. I'm kind of in a middle zone, to be honest. In the winter, it gets really dry. I think mainly from our heat running so much, but in the summer, we're more humid, and that's where my Vermi Bag is really good. So either way. Plant Obsessed, my pug just gave you a woo-woo. Oh, that's so sweet. I love pugs. They're so adorable. Cruiser Max sharing the love. Stingray Steve is joking with Mickey. Going to green. I have the urban worm bag version 2. Yeah, the version 1 is no longer being sold. But the version 2, they made just a few small upgrades. The main one was that panel at the bottom, and I think it's going to be excellent. GMG was talking about the mites. Yeah, GMG, do some research on neem, and I link it below all of my videos, so you can go back to any of my videos and see what the product specifically is that I order, but just do some research, find one that works for you. I'm sorry, guys. It's like finally getting green outside, and so now my allergies are kicking in, so I'm going to be nasally. I apologize. It was not this way earlier today. So I apologize if I'm sniffling. Plant Obsessed says, I just bought a microscope. We shall take it to the aliens, probe and all. I have a microscope attachment for my laptop that I can put stuff under, and I really want to get some good videos with the cocoons and like baby worms and some of the bugs to look at them up close. I think that'll be really cool, and I'll try to get that on film. Stingray Steve says, I buy sandworms and bloodworms, but you can't really raise them. Yeah, I'm not ultra familiar with either one of them, to be honest. I mean, I've heard about bloodworms, but not sandworms. Cruiser Mac, are we not concerned that we may be overrun by worms soon? It wouldn't bother me too much. When I was researching earlier today, I also found out that worms are older than dinosaurs by like 400 million years. Hold on. I want to find that fact so I make sure I have it right. Yeah, worms date back 600 million years. Dinosaurs only 231 million years. So, worms may just take over the earth. That would be just fine with me. Yeah, Grant says, everyone needs some worms. There's so much benefit. I mean, the compost that they create can actually, like, take some of the bad, what do you call it? Now my mind is blanking out. Carbon dioxide from the extra carbon dioxide from the air, and actually take it in and provide it as an uptake for our worms. Like, I mean, our plants. Sorry, not our worms. There's so many cool things. Polly says he still loves the worm factory. If you keep a plastic sheet on top of the bedding, it stays really moist. Should also harvest frequently and store the castings in aerated Rubbermaids. And he loves the urban worm bag too. Yeah, Polly, if you're holding in extra moisture, and see mine gets too wet, so I am looking for more aeration for mine. 600 million years, but who's counting, right, Cruiser Mac? But that goes to show how resilient the worms are. I mean, in the winter, all of our worms can die due to freezing, and those cocoons survive, and we still end up with plenty of worms in the springtime. Yes, plant obsessed. They also lock heavy metals and toxins. Like, who wouldn't want to do that in a society where we're so environmentally concerned now with a lot of these different things? Global warming, whether you believe in it or not. But we know that, like, the mainstream farming practices and all are not healthy for us. So everybody should be wanting to do some of this stuff for ourselves to make sure that we're eating and living the healthiest way. I want to buy a microscope, Melinda, says Grant. Speaking of microscope, ever hear from Davo? Yeah, Grant, I don't know where Davo went. He was providing some amazing videos with his microscope, and he's actually the one who sent me my attachment for the computer to do that. It was very kind of him. He just did that, out of the kindness of his heart, and I have not seen him. So if anybody has seen Davo around, let me know. I've sent him a few messages, and I haven't heard from him. Cruiser Max says heavy metal worms. Well, if they're kind of pulling the heavy metals away from creating danger, I'm fine with that. And, hey, everybody likes to rock out a little bit. So let's talk about the Vermi Bag for a second. We kind of talked about the moisture issue, but the Vermi Bag is a little bit different. Developed by Tom, and I think he lives in Sicily. I'm pretty sure he lives in Sicily, but he hand makes all of his bags, and they're much more breathable than the urban worm bags. I think they're really good in like humid environments. And mine have run really well, especially once they're established. But once, like, the process of getting them established can be a little bit hard because you have to add a lot of extra moist bedding and food. But I'm just not always good at checking on my worms ultra frequently, and that's probably part of my problem. But once they're up and running, they also are providing amazing castings. They also have a zipper protector as well that prevents those castings and worms from muddying up your zipper. And they also have like a mesh breathable top that allows for extra airflow. You can get them customized. They come in a micro, a mini, a max, and the mammoth. I don't have the mammoth, but Grant does. If you want to hop over to Grant's channel, I do have the mini and the max. The max is almost the same size as the urban worm bag. The mini is a bit smaller. The micro, I think it's only about the size of like a 5-gallon bucket, if I remember from Tom's videos. And the Vermi Bag videos will be linked below. I'm an affiliate with the Urban Worm Company as well as Vermi Bag. So the links that I have to their websites below are affiliates. I just like to put that out there right away. Plant obsessed. Sicily, like the country. I'm thinking Sicily, like Italy. So not how. Where's autocorrect when I need it? I knew what you meant. Lilia, once I started putting a plastic bag over the top of her Vermi Bag, it stopped losing moisture and now it's perfect. Maybe I can throw some like bubble wrap or something over there. Stingray Steve is talking about night crawlers doing the dirty all the time. Yeah, the night crawlers, all of the worms, if you check in on them frequently enough, you'll catch plenty of them mating. And they're hermaphrodites, so they have both male and female organs, but they still need a partner to fertilize their cocoons. Melinda says, do you know if Tom will be making the stands again? Tom is the developer of the Vermi Bag. Not sure, but Tom is great at customizing things. I think I heard someone say in my last live stream that they had asked Tom to make the mesh panels at the top smaller so that it wouldn't breathe quite as much, and he customized it for him. I mean, he customized my Max that it says the Crazy Worm Lady on it. So, you know, he's absolutely excellent to work with. You know, Steve at the Urban Worm Company is great to work with. They're both really good at responding to emails and all really, really quickly. So they're both excellent companies, and I like them both very, very much. Let's see. Linda Bush says, I love my one grape. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Linda. She says, I love my one grape for a 70-year-old. I have many. I don't know if I understand. GMG, how much neem seed meal should I top dress one of these POS hungry bins? I just add some with every feeding, but you could just sprinkle some in periodically, and I think that would definitely help with your bug problems, especially if it is mites. I think you would see a reduction pretty quickly. Yeah, Melinda, I told him with my Max, I had built my stand with the Mini, but I am not, I don't have a lot of tools and stuff to cut PVC piping and all, so my father actually helped me with that. And when it came time to get the Max, he painted a stand and added the stand to my order for a small price. So it's definitely, most of the time, if he can, I know he will do that for you. Worcestershire sauce, hello, welcome. Monstar Factory Wrestling and Gaming, hello, welcome, welcome. Plant Obsessed was watching all these videos on the Vermi Bag Mammoth. That thing is huge. I don't think I would have the space for it. I'm already running out of space. Rural rules. Can you use milled oats to feed your worms? I have put oats in my worm bin. Soak them in some water first, because if they dry out, the worms really can't eat them. And always remember moderation, especially with things like that can heat up. I just, grains in general, you should definitely be careful with. But the video I'm posting tonight, you will see that I gave a massive amount of leftover Chinese food rice to my worms in the urban worm bag. So we'll see how that goes. CRT says, yeah, it's huge, but you could consolidate. But I don't like to consolidate. I love to run my little experiments. It's fun for me. Rural is a hard word to say, especially rural rules. Thank you. That is a tongue twister. Try to say that even 5 times fast. So then I have my little I'm thinking about all the systems I run just to talk about them. I have the 3-way little children's composter thing that I've been having so much fun with. I like that a lot. That's more of kind of just a fun side thing to have. It's definitely something you have to be careful with, aeration, because it's so enclosed and so small. It could easily get anaerobic in the bottom, but I haven't had any issue with that. Cruiser Max's Chinese food. You know they're going to be hungry again in an hour. That is very true about Chinese food. I don't really eat Chinese food. I don't really eat carbohydrates very much at all. But I get a lot of my scraps from my friend. I had been super depressed because my friend had left our hospital and gone to a different hospital to work. And so I wasn't seeing her very often. And she used to provide me with bags and bags, like at least 2 bags a week. Like full, I don't know, however big the large Ziplocs are. And she has come back to my hospital to work at least 2 shifts a month. And her first night back was last weekend. And she brought me, I think it was 7 bags of frozen scraps. And actually, that's where the rice came from, some of the scraps she gave me. I was super excited to have her back, available to me, because now my freezer is stocked again. I was running a little bit low. CRT says, I'm loving the Kids Worm Farm series. It's so much fun. And I mean, we can all be kids at heart, at least sometimes, right? I have a really good time with it, and I'm thinking of turning it into a 3-way cocoon bin when I'm done, and do, I don't know, start with maybe 5 or 6 cocoons in each chamber, one of the Europeans, one of the red wigglers, and one of the African night crawlers. That could be fun, right? Plant Obsessed is talking about the microscope that she bought on Amazon. Trevorfoot says hello. I don't know if I saw you come in, Trevor. Oh yeah, I did, Trevorfoot. I'll have to link below if I can find the microscope that was given to me, Trevorfoot. I have it in the closet down the hallway. I'll do that. So then I have all my DIY systems. So, you know, the DIY systems have their own issues, but I like that because they're DIY, you can really customize them to what works for you. I know Lilia cuts large holes in the lids of hers, and then she just tapes or glues a little bit of a mesh screen, which provides a lot of aeration. I just like to drill holes in mine. But if you you can kind of adapt it to what works for you. Super cheap. Some people already have, you know, large totes and all sitting around their house. So I used one of my totes that I used for my African night crawlers early on was a tote that had moved with me when we bought our house. It was, you know, something I had a whole bunch of stuff from my parents' house that I moved over here in that, and it turned into a worm bin. Brandon Booker, what's your thoughts on the hungry bin? I don't have a hungry bin. I would encourage you to go over to Lilia Kogan's channel. That will be linked below once I can get this description up because of the nightmare I had getting started tonight. But definitely Lilia's in here. So find her, click her link, go over there and check it out. That seems to have some issues with running as advertised as well from what I've deducted. GMG, do you guys feed balsalt rock dust and kelp meal to increase the quality of your castings? GMG, in my dry mix that I was talking about earlier, I use the kelp meal, and mainly for the nutrient value. You know, none of these things are completely necessary. Your worms do need a grit source, so they do need something like sand, rock dust, oyster shell, eggshell, something like that. But beyond that, honestly, your systems need no extra additional things other than the food scraps and the bedding. But all of those added things are good amendments from what I see. Oh, that's a good point. GMG Grant saying also Trevorfoot loves his hungry bin. Go figure. I mean, I guess it's how you run it where you live, that type of thing. Polly says, gotta go. Excellent videos. You're cranking out excellent advice. Keep it coming. Gosh, Polly, that means a lot coming from you. I really appreciate it. And I hope if you ever see something that I said wrong, I would really appreciate you correcting me because I like to provide the best content to my viewers. I hope you have an excellent night. Melinda says, right now I'm behind. Trevor Foot, did Tom do the embroidery on my bag? Yes, he customized that for me, and he offers the customization now. I think it's limited to a certain number of characters, but yes, he does. Grant's mammoth also, I'm pretty sure he customized as well. Melinda says Lilia is the hungry bin expert. I think so too. Lilia does a lot of very educational, really good explanations on how she runs her hungry bins for sure. And I forgot, I've been in here talking, and I forgot I want to congratulate Grant. He got all of his watch hours and now is up for monetization, which not everybody chooses to do. I have chosen to do it, but it's a big milestone in growing your channel. So congratulations, Grant. Heidi Schnauzer. Oh, do you like Schnauzers? Because I had a standard Schnauzer for many years, and he was my favorite dog I've ever had. Best dog ever. Heidi says she bought worms from me, and those ANC are huge. Love your videos. Did they arrive healthy, Heidi? I really appreciate your support. Thank you. Yeah, gosh, I'm glad I remembered to say congratulations to Grant because I was thinking about it before I went live. Don't forget to congratulate Grant. And then what did I do? Almost forgot. Oh, I'm glad they arrived well, and the weight was good. I really try. And actually, this is a good time for me to really quickly say that as well. I've had a few people not pleased with my worms lately. Not that they're not pleased with the worms, but with, I think, a lack of a good description on my website explaining that I only mail worms. Paulie says, yeah, you said rural wrong. I can't help it. For some reason, it's a word that's getting stuck. Rural? I don't know. Thank you for your input, Paulie. I appreciate that. So people were a little bit upset about the fact that it's not clear when you buy worms from me. I only mail worms once a week. So I work with suppliers that help me to provide you guys with worms. And so I can't be sending them orders every single day because they have their own business to run as well. So my orders have to be placed by Friday evening. I can have a little bit of leeway to like early Saturday morning, but they need to be in, and then worms mail out Monday or Tuesday the next week. I had somebody who ordered some worms from me, and I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication and was upset that they had ordered, I guess, on a Monday. And since they ordered on a Monday, something like that, the worms didn't get mailed out until the following Monday because they had missed the cutoff for the worm mailing. So I do apologize, but I wanted to make sure that you guys did see that I always let you guys know when the worms have shipped. I try, if I can, to email you once you've ordered so you know that I got the order. But I'm not always perfect. We're all human, so I apologize for that. Plant Obsessed says rural. I don't know. I don't know. I give up. All right, I'm glad it was clear to you, Heidi, but I just want people to know that I'm not trying to mislead you or make you wait weeks for your worms. But if you are looking to get worms from me and you want them at a certain time, just keep in mind, place your order by Friday night, and that way you will get your worms the following week. Brandon Booker says, how much for 2,000 red wigglers? 2,000 red wigglers is, I have to look. I can't even keep track of it all. $57, I think. But email me if there's any question about that. Plant Obsessed said your shipment was awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's difficult, when you're working with people. So there's, like a third, I'm kind of like an in-between. But there's not a whole lot of places out there to get worms. So I found someone that I trust and I work with. So it's a struggle. But I do my very, very best, and I'm always upfront and honest about the fact that the worms that you get from me are not my personal worms, but that I do stand behind them, and I will make anything right if there's any issue with the order. Grant says, should I get some blue worms? Grant, I could send you some blue worms. I've got a crap ton of them. So Grant, if you would like some blue worms, let me know. I have your address, and I will mail some to you so you can have yourself a blue worm bin. Because I have the neglected bins that are being migrated right now, and I've got a lot of blues, so I could certainly send you some. And I've got a ton of blues in my my one urban worm bag and my one Vermi bag as well. So I'd be more than happy. I can share the love. CRT says he loves. CRT, are you a man or a woman? I don't want to keep saying he or she. Loves the blues. Yeah, blues are excellent worms. It's just sometimes they're a little bit more temperamental than the red wigglers. So sometimes people have issues with barometric pressure changes and their worms climbing, and they worry that they are doing something wrong, and it's really just the nature of the worm. Brandon, I have not really gotten my garden underway yet this year. I've been got some stuff going on in my personal life, so things are a little bit behind. So I think I'm probably going to end up buying most of my plants from a local organic garden center near me. I think I will grow my herbs from seeds just because they grow so quickly. But I think like my tomatoes and stuff, I really wanted to start them all indoors like I did last year. But I got to keep in mind that life gets in the way, and I'm very busy. So I need to be careful and take care of myself. So if I have to buy some plants, I'm fine with that. All of the worms that I bought from Uncle Jim's have some blues. Yeah, that's how I ended up with mine, Plant Obsessed. Yep, I got almost 100% blue worms. I didn't know it for like a year because I was a brand new worm composter, but once I realized and got some education, I realized that I didn't have red wigglers. I had blue worms, and that's when I went and bought more actual red wigglers. So it worked out fine. CRT says she's Cassandra. Okay, I just like to refer to people by their name if I can remember it. So welcome, Cassandra. Now I know your name, and I will try very hard to remember. Melinda says she loves her blues too. Melinda, where did you get your blues? GMG says, take care, guys. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome. Any other questions, feel free to always drop them, underneath my videos. Email me. My email is always in the description under my videos. I'm always happy to help as much as I can. Amber says, blues are so finicky. I wish I could have received the reds that I ordered. Looking forward to my first order from Emily. Well, thank you, Amber. I believe your worms should be arriving tomorrow, correct? I'm pretty sure. My brain is all over the place. I had a bunch of worm orders this week and some displeased people that I was working with, so I was just sending out tracking numbers, not paying any attention. But I'm pretty sure if I looked at the tracking number for yours that it said Thursday. Melinda, yeah, I was hoping you were going to say that. Yeah, I sent Melinda some of my personal blues, just a small bag of them, or maybe 2 bags of them last year. Yeah, I like them too. It's just, if you buy something, you want to get what you ordered. And that was why I was upset initially with the blues. But now I have 4 different types of worms that I get to enjoy and see all the differences and nuances, and I enjoy that. Lilia says her blues came from the UJ as well. A lot of people don't like to say Uncle Jim's. I honestly don't mind saying it because I think it's sad that a lot of new composters go to Amazon and that's the first thing that pops up. And my worms arrived healthy, but it just wasn't what I ordered. And I think probably the weight was a little bit light. But, just do your research. There's a lot of good, reputable suppliers around, and they have much better customer service because they're smaller and independent. Amber's amusement. So I had somebody else named Amber order from me. Oh, Amber, I need to go check my email to make sure that I'm not confused, because I'm pretty sure I sent to an Amber this week. And now I'm wondering if I'm losing my mind. Trevorfoot, Brandon Booker, check out my hungry bin when I do a turnover day. Yeah, Trevorfoot really likes his hungry bin, so I'd like to see some more of that as well. Melinda says her blue worms are reproducing very happily. Amber says she's so jealous. It's hard for people at first to accept the idea of running a worm bin inside their house or to have worms, but I was thinking about it the other day, actually, because I was cleaning out my worm room, and my urban worm bag version 1, I had kept the zipper undone. I had it loosely held up with 2 safety pins because of the zipper, and I knew I was going to be transferring the contents to a version 2. And I guess a bunch of worms had found their way down, and I had a whole bunch of dead worms, like just immediately around the urban worm bag. And I said, I don't know what I was so worried about, because even if the worms for some reason get out and die, first of all, we know exposed to light for more than 15 to 30 minutes, they're paralyzed. They can't do anything. And as soon as they dry out, which is not going to be a long distance, they die. So, of course, you don't want your worms to die. But even if they get out, they are not going to invade your home in some way. So it's just a weird feeling people have about keeping something like that in their house, and the potential for bugs and all. But really, there's very few bugs that would ever make their way out, primarily just fruit flies, because they have the perfect environment inside your worm bin. Why would they want to leave, Arturo Macias, does anybody have ANC cocoons they're willing to sell? I bought some on eBay last year, and they were reds. Arturo, I'd be willing to send you some. I would just do it for free if you could just pay for shipping. So email me. And I've got a ton of African night crawlers, and I've got a ton of cocoons. I could try to put together a few hundred for you and put them in the mail. Not a problem. Plantasess says, man, I hate finding worm jerky in the morning. Yeah, it really doesn't happen with any of my other bins, but because I had the bottom open, you know, and actually in their defense, they had made it kind of far because they had the mortar tray underneath my urban worm bag and they had made it over the rim, but that was pretty much as far as they got. They were right below the rim where they had dropped on the floor. I was actually expecting more, and there really weren't very many. I have hardwood floors, so they're not making it far at all. Okay, 28 thumbs up. There's still 20 of you in here. Gosh, guys, I appreciate it so much. If you had not hit the like button, I would appreciate it. We'll probably get wrapped up here shortly. Some of the questions I had we might have to address next live stream. I'm going to start live streaming maybe twice a month. I have a lot of fun doing it, so we can always address it next time. Heidi, when you initially started vermicomposting, were you grossed out? Yes, I was grossed out. I could not touch my worms without gloves. The first time I saw a mite, I cried, literally cried, and was about ready to go dump my worms outside. Yeah, it grossed me out. It kind of freaked me out. And now I usually wear gloves for my videos. Although sometimes when I'm in my house and I'm not filming, I don't even use gloves. I mean, I have to keep my nails relatively short because I'm a nurse and, for health reasons, it's important to keep your nails short when you're working in the healthcare field. But, it takes a little time to warm up to it. And Heidi says, yes, she loves schnauzers. Yeah, my schnauzer was named Max. I loved him to death. He was an amazing, amazing dog. And we got him at a time in my life in high school when I was very sick. And he was my little shadow. And he definitely got me through some really hard depression. So something to be said about those cuddly animals. I couldn't have cuddled with worms, but Max definitely helped cuddle me. Tiffany says she's been playing with bugs her whole life. My mom was just saying the other day, I was always chasing after roly-polies as a little girl. I remember crying because I dared my friend when we were in elementary school to eat an ant, and she ate an ant, and I cried. So I was not a bug person. I still am afraid of bees, wasps, not just because they sting, but just because they fly up in your face and freak you out. I don't like spiders. I don't really like any bugs, to be honest with you. I mean, I respect the ecosystem of the worm bin, but I mean, I don't like bugs. But it's something that you have to come to terms with. And when you realize how they all work together, kind of symbiotically, the different bugs and the springtails and the microorganisms and the bacteria and how they end up giving us this awesome compost. If you can, get to the point where you respect that and understand that, to me, the little bit of the ick factor is definitely worth it. Cassandra's laughing at me. Plant Obsessed said, respect the worm. I respect the worm. I respect the bin. I respect the ecosystem, even though it wigs me out sometimes. So I'm going to make sure I give you guys a really good description below with links to my favorite channels, my certain products that I use. I'll try to add everything that I can. My website where you can buy worms will be down below. I think I have a new blog post finally going to be getting posted in the next few days. But I really appreciate everyone joining me. Thank you for the patience as I had trouble getting started up. It was quite the challenge tonight. I just appreciate you guys so much. Please remember to always like videos, comment on videos, not just for me, but for anybody that you watch. These small channels especially. Every little comment, every little thumbs up, every new subscriber brightens our day. So I really do appreciate all of your support. I mean, I am at 2,000 subscribers now, pushing 2,050. And it's been so amazing to be able to reach more people. And I love the interaction. It brightens my day every single day. So I honestly, really, really appreciate everything. So you can always share my channel if you would like, share my videos, means a lot. So I hope you guys have an excellent night. I'm going to get out of here, watch some videos that you guys have posted, and get my own video up, and come back shortly and check out the description below. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Casually Extreme Outdoors, for hanging out. Heidi, Plant Obsessed, CRT, all of you that are still in here, thank you so, so much. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.